Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Mike Marino.
And Tommy Silverstein and Clay Fountain became friends right away, and they strangled what's his name? The one I just talked about. I forgot his name again.
So when these murders are happening, are they taking the guys out of there that committed the murders?
Listen, we're already in the maximum security, long-term segregation unit. Everybody is already there for murder.
So there's nowhere else to go, right?
Nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So this is it. Okay. So, yeah. So, what was his name? I forgot. I said it before, but I can't remember it now. So that was the one where they strangled him through the bars, right?
Yeah.
And that was their murder there. Then they killed Cadillac, and then the next two murders that take place were the first one was Merle Klutz. He was a guard. I didn't think he was too bad, but apparently him and Tommy had locked horns, and they were kind of like going back and forth at each other. And Tommy was claiming that Klutz was, fucking with his mail, doing this, doing that. And so he wanted revenge. And what he did was he made a knife. And when he came out for recreation, he walked up to Randy Gomez's cell. Randy Gomez had because he was cuffed in the front. He was cuffed in the front. He puts his hands in front of the Gomez cell. And Gomez takes the handcuffs off him real quick with a piece of a handcuff key, which everybody had. They were so easy to make. I mean, they're just ridiculously easy to get out of. Those cuffs are just so easy. And he stabbed Klutz to death. And then within the next 24 hours, Clay killed, I think his name was Wilson, down on A Range. He killed Wilson. And those were 6 murders I just mentioned 6 murders, right? Okay, one.
Yeah.
So those are 6 murders that happened over a 4-year period in a unit that contains 55 men. During the same amount of time, the New York Department of Corrections, which houses a total of 60,000 inmates, had four murders out of a population of 60,000 inmates. They had 4 murders in a 4-year period. We had 6 murders out of the same 4-year period, out of a population of 55 men. So you can understand the level of violence that was, and I'm just mentioning the fatalities. There were other stabbings. There were several other stabbings where people were, Buck got stabbed, this Mexican dude got stabbed, Clay got stabbed. There were other stabbings as well, probably 6 altogether, I guess, They were non-fatal stabbings.
Yeah.
And, so it was a wild fucking place. You know what I mean?
And there's fights going on, right? People are fighting with just
nobody's fighting. Too. Nobody is fighting. They don't fight. They kill. That's it. You got a problem, kill the person. Because he's going to kill you. Don't trust anybody. If you got a problem with somebody, don't let them rock you to sleep. Because if you let them rock you to sleep, you're a victim. You're going to go. That's it.
Were you ever worried in your time there?
Yeah, man, I was kind of cautious about everybody, I was kind of cautious about everybody, but I had my co-defendant with me, so we were like rec partners. I wasn't worried about him killing me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Yeah. So me and him had gotten a murder case in Atlanta. He was my cell partner, and he had 2 life sentences in 25 years already, and he had killed another inmate about 7 years earlier, and they couldn't indict him because they didn't have any witnesses, or they didn't have any witnesses that were willing to testify. Let's put it that way. So, you know, uh, our murder was a result of basically drugs and a little fist fight that happened between my co-defendant and the deceased victim. Plus, we thought that he had broken into our lockers and stole 10 cartons of cigarettes. But we found out later that he didn't do that. But we were already in the hole when that happened, you know. And during that murder, my co-defendant's hand slid down his knife and he cut his finger off. You know, not completely off, but halfway off. And so here there was a drop of blood every 8 inches going back to our cell. And but believe it or not, they never found a weapon. You know.
Wow.
So I mean,
how did this murder transpire?
I just told you.
Yeah, but how did it take place? Did you guys creep up on him? Did you run into a cell?
We ran into a cell, yeah. We ran into a cell. Yeah. And yeah, I'm not too happy with what happened, you know what I mean? I don't like really get into too much about it because, you know, I promised myself I would never, you know, hurt somebody unless it was absolutely necessary, you know. And you know, unless they put their hands on me or whatever. I ended up stabbing a guy about 10 years ago on the streets, you know, because he was trying to rob me, and it was caught on camera. And I got charged with attempt murder, but that video camera proved what I was saying. And plus, the dude who got stabbed, he wouldn't testify. He said, "I don't know who stabbed me, and I wouldn't tell you if I did." Because he was a thug and he wanted to, you know, live up to his reputation, and I appreciated him doing that.
Yeah.
But his homeboys jumped me, and I got like a scar here, and you know. Anyway,
how did that one take place? How did it transpire?
Basically, man, I was standing there and I had a box in my hand, you know, and I was trying to sell the contents of the box to somebody. So a couple of computers, right? And he walked up, took it out of my hands, and he said, "Next time you come around here, you better have something else for me." Because I knew him. He was like a bully around the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like a bully, and he was on my methadone clinic too. So the minute he did that, man, like within 1 second after he took it out of my hands, I stabbed him. And when I stabbed him, the blood shot all the way up my arm. Right? Like I buried it. It was like it was a switchblade. I had a switchblade, 5 inch. At first, and I actually think that God sent me to do this, because this dude used to rob people all the time. He'd slap them. He loved to intimidate people and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he was capable of that because, you know, he's a little pit bull looking dude, you know, and he just had that, you know, bully attitude, right? And I was only about 160 pounds at the time, you know, and but it just so happened, man, that I don't usually carry that knife, you know, but I had it that day. And I think, man, like it was destined for me to do this, to teach this fool a lesson. And I know like when I left, like, you know, when I got, actually they sewed my face up and then they took me to jail and charged me with attempt murder. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Wait, after you stab him,
yeah,
his friends come out and jump you?
Well, his friends were right around it. They were right there. So after I stabbed him, I turned to run. because it took him a second to realize that he'd been stabbed. He didn't really like it happened so quick, and he never was looking for this to happen. He thought this was an easy mark. When I hit him, like he stood, he blinked his eyes, and he said, "He stabbed me." He went like that, right? Like he was surprised. Yeah, he was surprised. So I'm like, oh shit, I better fuck out. So I turned to run. Somebody hit me here. I got that scar there. And then somebody else hit me with some metal thing. And on top of my head, ripped my scalp off my head. I ran across the street into a drugstore. And I took the knife and threw it behind some bottles that were laying up, like, I guess, I don't know, shampoo or some stuff. I threw it there. I look up and there's a camera there, like I'm not going to get away with this, right?
No.
And
Yeah, no.
the customers are freaking out, right? Everybody's like, there's blood everywhere because I'm bleeding, and he's and so anyway, cop comes in. He says, "Come on out of there, sir." I said, "Man, I'm not coming out." I said, "There's a bunch of people out there trying to kill me." He said, "We got plenty of police out here, man. Nobody gonna do nothing to you." I said, "All right." So I come out, right? The dude who started all this bullshit, okay, he was he had this bicycle tire. He stole a tire off a bicycle. That's what they were doing, right? They were stealing these like Michelin bicycle tires. They're worth a lot of money, like
Yeah.
$500 or $600, right?
Yeah.
And that's what his hustle was, stealing these bicycle tires. Anyway, he had tried, after I stabbed him, before I got ready to break and run, he wanted to grab that bicycle tire and try to hit me with it, right? And I never give him a chance. I took off, and like I said, so when I came out of the drugstore, apparently he had chased me across the street, and when he got like in front of the drugstore, he had collapsed, and the bike tire was laying there on the ground next to him, and some lady was leaning over him, and he was saying, "I've been stabbed. I've been stabbed." And I said, "Man, fuck that faggot." I said, "Don't give that motherfucker no help. Fuck him." And the lady said, "Oh, please, sir, don't say that." I said, "Fuck him. Let him die. Fuck that faggot," because I was really pissed off at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I hadn't done nothing, man. This motherfucker brought me this drama, and now look at all the shit I'm in. I'm bleeding.
What happened to the box of stuff that you had?
I don't know.
Someone else grabbed it and took off with it?
I'm probably still across the street. I guess they grabbed it. Somebody got it. I don't know. I mean, I ain't really worried about that at this point. So they make me sit on the curb. They bring the first ambulance for him because he's he's actually, in bad shape because he's bleeding internally. My shit is pretty much superficial, Um, and I go in the second ambulance. They take me and they sew me up and this. And as soon as I get sewed up, they take me to jail, charge me with attempted murder. Right? When I left the hospital, I tried to find out what happened to him. They said that they were putting a colostomy bag on him. You know what that is?
Yeah.
So they're putting.
I've seen a lot of people in prison with those.
Yeah. So that's what he was wearing. That I don't know how long he wore it, but because when I got out of jail, I went back to my clinic. People were telling me, man, that his homeboys were out roaming around looking for me with baseball bats and stuff. So I said, hell, time for me to get out of it. So I took off. I went somewhere else. But yeah, that was. I actually believe, man, that I was sent to teach that fool a lesson because normally I would never carry that knife with me. You know what I mean?
How long did you spend in prison because of that? How long did you spend in jail?
Like 4 days. 4 days.
That's it?
Yeah, they came back. They left me out. I said, "What? Listen, man. It was amazing.